Welcome, everyone. I'm Sue Barber, author, former IT director for a Fortune 500 company, turned executive coach, and this is the Visibility Factor podcast, where we explore how to raise your visibility and play bigger at work and in life. We'll explore key topics and welcome guests that help you shift your thinking about yourself so you can see new possibilities for your leadership. I'm on a mission to create a visibility movement for leaders to show their value and be seen for their true talent. Are you ready to take the next step towards a higher level of visibility for yourself? Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Visibility Factor podcast. This is Sue Barber, your host. Today's episode is focused on the 4 roles that you may see someone leverage in an organization. Now, these aren't career roles like titles that you might think about, but these are roles that you might choose from in various career situations that you're going through with your team or maybe even other people in the organization. The 4 roles are mentoring, sharing wisdom and advice from your career and experiences with someone else, coaching, facilitating a person's growth and helping them through questions versus telling them what to do, giving them the opportunity to solve their own problems and think for themselves, teaching, which is delivering knowledge and showing someone what to do. And there are times where that's necessary, where they've maybe never done something like that before and you have. And then leading. This is really about inspiring and guiding them towards a shared vision. Now, each of these roles plays a crucial part in your team's development. As a leader, you might find yourself switching between them depending on what's happening. And the key is to adapt to what your team members need at the time so that you can help them grow and develop and be motivated by what you're sharing. This was a lesson that I learned quite a while ago, but it was interesting because I used to think that everyone would adapt to my style, but it's actually the opposite. I needed to adapt to their style. And so once I learned that, it made it so much easier because each person might need something different depending on where they are in their career. Now, although each of these roles has very distinct characteristics, and I'll go through those with you in a few minutes, as a leader, you might find yourself switching between these different roles depending on the situation. And you might find that they overlap in some ways, or you might use them in conjunction with each other. Sometimes it depends on the experience level of the person that you're working with and what kind of situation it is that they're dealing with. For example, an experienced employee might need more coaching and might need more mentoring, and they've got enough of the skills to be able to do some things, but maybe this is just a new situation for them that they haven't encountered before. And you can use questions and mentoring examples from your own experience to help them learn what to do. A junior employee, someone who isn't as experienced, is going to probably need more teaching and leading. They're going to need you to help them understand how to do the skill or new thing, whatever it is that they're working on. And they're going to need leadership. They're going to need to understand why they're doing it, why it's important that they do it maybe a certain way, or that the expectations are higher because of, certain reasons or business needs in the organization. Now, I have an example here that I thought might be helpful for you. One of my new clients, the first time we met, was talking about his frustration with his team. And he felt that they weren't stepping up enough in his eyes, and he wanted them to do more. He had given them feedback over time and helped them try to think about how to become stronger leaders, giving them examples, talking to them about what it is he wanted and what he was expecting, but he still wasn't seeing it. So I asked him to describe for me, what are their strengths? What are their opportunities? Tell me what for each of them they have or in your mind don't have yet that you want them to have. And as he explained how they work together, it became clear to me pretty quickly that there were certain things that might be contributing to their lack of leadership. Now, my client had years and years of experience and knowledge in his company, and he became this guy that was the guy to go to for all the answers. You probably have someone like that in your organization who's been there forever and just knows everything because they've already seen it and done it throughout the years. And when you have someone like that, it's really easy to go to them and say, hey, Tom, what's the answer to this? I remember we talked about it 5 years ago, but I know you'll know. And this person seems to have this amazing memory who can remember all the situations and how to handle them. So it's really helpful to have someone like that unless it prevents your team from problem solving on their own. And that's what was happening here. He knew there was a problem when some of his team members below his leaders were coming to him directly instead of going to their leaders to ask questions. And so he knew that they weren't trusting the answers that they were getting from their own leaders. And he knew that that was probably something that he needed to make a shift in some ways. And he would ask them, hey, have you talked to Bill about this situation? And of course, they would say, well, we're just not sure if he knows as much as you do. So it's clear that there was a challenge in his direct leadership and understanding how to handle certain situations that maybe they just haven't had experience in. So I asked him what would happen if he had to take on another role at some point, because I knew that that was something he was thinking about doing in the next year or so. And he was no longer there to answer the questions. I said, what's going to happen to your team? You're not going to be there anymore, and they're going to be struggling. And I wondered if we could talk about how we can help them grow and develop in this next year so that they're ready to take on the things that he's doing today that come so easily for him. And we talked about this new approach and how it would change things, but he also would need to share with them that he was making a shift. He was going to have to talk to them and say, I'm going to stop giving you all the answers because that's not helping you grow and develop. I'm going to help you learn how to problem solve and figure out these answers on your own and understand some of the ways that I think about things so that it helps you understand why I might ask you certain questions or why I might do things, just to help you have some sense of why this is so important for you to learn. So he recently took his team through all of these things that we talked about in this transformational plan he wanted to start to implement. And he had lunch with them and he made it very informal. He didn't want it to be a very formal thing where he's telling them what to do. He wanted to have a conversation. And so he threw out some things that he was thinking about and how he was going to be changing and what he was going to be doing differently. And they were excited, right? As you might imagine, right? Someone is placing a lot of development and learning and time in you to help you grow. That should help you be very excited that someone is watching out for you and wanting you to go to the next level. So he was thrilled that this would not only help his team, but it's going to help him, right? He's going to be able to move on to something else and feel really good about the legacy he's leaving behind with this group and this organization. So he told me, I am setting a new goal for myself. I want to be doing 90% coaching with my team by the end of the year. The other 10% I'm going to split between teaching and mentoring. I want you to think about that for yourself. Is that something that you could be doing more of? Are there ways that you could start to implement coaching, for example, or mentoring into your day-to-day conversations with people and not giving them the answers? Now, I get there are times where there is no time to have that conversation and you just have to give the answer. But if we make it a 90% coaching and 10% of the other types, could that work? Could that be only in those really urgent situations that you do that versus the other situations that you have more time, that you ask them questions, that you help them start to think about what would you do in this situation? How would you handle this? How would you solve this problem? Giving them that time will help you at the back end. It's going to take some time in the front end to get them ready, but at the back end, it's going to help you be able to move on to other things or spend time on the things that you should be spending time on versus telling your team exactly what to do every day. So I want you to think about this. Where are there opportunities for you to stop answering questions and instead leverage one of these roles that we just talked about? Have you ever wondered about these different types of roles and what are the differences between them? Some people get them a little confused. So I thought it might be helpful to walk through them with you so that you understand the differences. So leading is about setting a vision, inspiring your team, helping them see where you're going, what the goal is. Imagine you're leading a project team. As a leader, you would focus on defining the project's objectives, motivating your team to overcome obstacles, and celebrating their achievements. It's about being visible and showing up authentically to guide your team through challenges and successes. Leading tough conversations and making an impact. All of those things come together under what leading is about. Coaching is focused on specific outcomes and goals and helping someone get there. But you're not telling them again, it's guiding them, giving them questions to help them think about the ways that they can discover their own solutions. Sometimes their solutions are better than ours, but we won't know that if we don't give them a chance to show us. So picture a scenario where a team member might be struggling with a task, and instead of giving them the answer, you ask them questions like, how would you solve this problem? Have you done something like this before? Is there something similar that you can apply the learnings from another project to this one? Asking them these questions pushes them to think. It gives them an opportunity to think about it, and they can then take ownership of it and grow and develop in a bigger way. Teaching is about sharing your knowledge and skills. There are times where you're going to have to teach someone who's never done something before how to do it. And that's okay. It's when you keep doing it over and over and over again, and some of you probably have experienced that. I definitely have. And you have to then question, what is the challenge here? Why aren't they able to do this on their own? Is it beyond their capabilities? Is it something that they just don't want to do? Is it something that they don't understand why they need to do it a certain way? Asking some questions, playing a detective role for a minute and trying to figure out why they're not able to move it forward, because it allows you to then have a different conversation. You might have to say it a different way. You might have to show them something different. But this is about what the needs of the team are and how you can get them up to speed faster. The last one is mentoring, and this is thinking about how to go beyond the immediate needs of a job. So mentoring someone and helping them see that if they did these things in a certain way, it might show more visibility. It might give them opportunities that they didn't expect. And then you can share your own stories of where you have done that for yourself. I think it's really important because a lot of people feel alone in some of these struggles. They've never done it before and they don't know how to do it. And when you can share your experience of, hey, I didn't know how to do it either, and this is what I did to make the situation happen for myself, and I think you could try that or try something similar to that. What do you think? It allows them to feel like they're not alone, and also they can relate to you. They can see that you went through these same struggles. You're not perfect. You're not up on a pedestal, that you're just a normal human being going through these things just like they are. So it helps them with career decisions, maybe advice that you have on your own experiences, giving advice to them based on your own experiences, and then helping them navigate their professional journey. There's political situations that might happen in an organization that can be challenging, how to deal with strategy, how to deal with putting yourself out there and getting up on the stage and speaking. There's all kinds of things that may be new for them, but you can share your own experiences to help them see what they can do differently. So I hope this gives you some different ideas and ways that you can leverage these roles in a bigger way and start to think about where you can incorporate them for yourself, and maybe even talk to your team members. If you have direct reports who are managers or directors, think about how you can help them start to think about these different roles that they could play as well. Because the more empowerment you push down the organization, the stronger the organization will be. So now let's move into the visibility action plan for today. So as I mentioned, think about the roles that we just went through. What are some of these roles? Even just pick one of them that you could be leveraging in a bigger way and shift how people might see you. For example, are you stepping in too often to give answers? Maybe there might be times you're doing that. Or you might be the person who's doing work on behalf of your team instead of letting them figure it out. I definitely did that. So it can be really easy to get caught in the trap of, I can do it faster. I know how it's supposed to work. I know all your jobs. I can just do it easier. That's not the right answer. We want to teach them how to do it on their own and let them make mistakes and make that okay to make mistakes. But the sooner that they start to pick these things up, the faster and stronger they will be. So self-assess where you are currently. Is there anything you could do to make a shift? How could you use these roles to create new opportunities for visibility for not only you, but your team that helps the company move something forward that maybe they haven't done before? Think about where you have some stories and examples and things that you can share with people that would really help them develop faster. Thanks so much for joining today on the Visibility Factor podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for listening to the Visibility Factor podcast. Remember that visibility starts with small steps that are intentional and consistent each day. Be bold, be visible, be the leader you were meant to be. Find us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, which are highlighted in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Visibility Factor podcast.